It's Halloween week, and what better time to talk about the spirits that haunt Seattle's iconic Pike Place Market? My conversation partner, Carolyn, is the proprietor of Thoughtful Chef Tours, and she leads both food tasting tours and Seattle ghost tours. I'll drop her contact information in the episode description. Does she really believe in ghosts? Well, that's what today's conversation is about. I met Carolyn on the Pike Street hill climb as she was leading a tour, and while she wasn't available for an interview at the time, she was intrigued and reached out later. We met there at the market, where she told me all about her unusual and possibly supernatural experiences. Is she justified in what she believes about spirits wanting to communicate from somewhere other than this dimension? Let me know what you think. My name is Nick, and this is Conversations on the Coast. The wonders of modern communication. Carolyn.
Yes. Hey.
Yeah, good to see you again. Do you want to take a table down there?
Okay, sure.
Cool. How's your day going?
Oh, it's going well. I took today off so I could catch up on paperwork.
Ah. Cool. Yeah. Yeah. Are you normally giving tours during the day, or is that just kind of a sideline?
Well, I'm actually a retired chef and restaurant owner.
Okay.
And I thought I wasn't going to work anymore, and I got bored.
Yeah.
So I started this tour business. And I do them when I feel like it, and don't do them when I don't feel like it. So I guess I should sit on the same side with you.
Yeah, that's fine.
So anyway, I have a small tour business. It's just me. I don't use anyone else. I just do my own tours and do them when I feel like it.
And you do it around food and cooking?
Well, it's a mix.
Okay.
I do. Are you recording now?
We're already going.
Oh, we're already going.
Absolutely.
Cool. Well, I do like to talk about food, obviously, as a retired chef. So I do some around cooking and food. My morning tour, when I hold it, is coffee and food tastings. Then, because, coffee is the most searched on thing for tourists in Seattle. And then in the afternoon, if I do a tour, it's my Savor the Sea seafood tasting. Okay. And I talk about the history and a lot about the fish and salmon and things like that. And
you probably take them up to get the kitschy throwing of the fish at the...
Oh, definitely. They have to see the fish being thrown. But what's amazing is people associate us so much with the fish being thrown, but there's so much amazing food that comes in fresh from the Salish Sea. Yeah. Well, I'm from Louisiana, and the seafood there is caught on the fishing boats and frozen immediately. And so they take and they ship it all over, but once you defrost it, I know they say they flash freeze it, it doesn't affect it, but it does. This seafood that comes in from the Salish Sea fresh is so amazing. So I take them all over the market and give them really great seafood. It's a lot of fun. And then I also have, because I am doing tours in the most haunted market in America. Okay. And it's also where Washington State's first serial killer disposed of her bodies, here in the market.
I did not know that.
Yeah, the old haunted mortuary that's now an Irish pub called Kale's. So I also have scandals, ghosts, and oddities, because I have to talk about, you just seen that you were standing on top of the unicorn with the tail. Okay. Our first swimming unicorns were based on the narwhals from the Alaskan waters. Nice. So we have all these legends of mermaids and unicorns, so I talk about those. And so that tour is a fun tour of just fun, weird stories, the things that make Seattle, Seattle. And then I do a lot of custom haunted ghost tours where I train people to be professional ghost hunters, and I have all these ghost hunting tools. And I found, though, that it helps if you can let your guard down when you're talking to ghosts, to really let them in. So we drink on that tour because it helps people relax and communicate better with the spirits. And so those are the tours I do, and then a lot of custom tours. Just get to show off the market all from every angle. Yeah. Whether it's from the ghost side or from the side about seafood.
That's amazing, and it seems like I'm getting the vibe off you that you really love doing this.
I love doing it. When I first started doing tours after lockdown, I was planning on just traveling, but the world was kind of shut down. Nothing was really going on.
Yeah.
So I found out there was a tour company that had chef-led tours. I thought, I'm a retired chef. I'll do that for 2 or 3 months. And I discovered I love telling stories and meeting people. And so awesome. A couple of years ago, I started my own.
That's really cool. And coming from, you said you're from Louisiana originally?
Yes.
From New Orleans or out somewhere
I'm
out?
from an area called the Arkansas, Louisiana, and Texas.
Okay.
Because it's a town called Shreveport.
Oh, yeah.
But it's 6 miles from the Texas border and 20 miles from the Arkansas border, so it's called the Arklatex.
Okay. I like that. Of course, there's a lot of ghost tours in New Orleans.
Right.
I've been on a ghost tour in New Orleans. I have not been on a ghost tour in Seattle.
Well, you need to come.
Yeah, we should do that sometime, for sure.
Yeah, you can definitely join a tour.
Have you, did you have a chance to listen to any of the podcasts and kind of see what it is that I do?
I did.
Awesome. So, I focus it on something that people are convinced is true. And it seems like you have some interesting things to say about ghosts. Are you a believer in ghosts, or is this something that you kind of create a vibe for your tour guide, for your tour guests?
Well, what's interesting is, historically, there are a lot of unexplained things that happen.
Yeah.
You hear stories, and so I get asked a lot on my tours, what do you believe?
Yeah.
And so I was reading a book on physics, and it said that all energy, and I was mulling this over, and it said all energy was created when the universe was created. Energy cannot be created or destroyed. Right. It also said the human body has enough energy in it to power one light bulb. That means that when we die, there is something left of us. And we know that a lot of people think that memories are just in our brain, but we're finding out now that's not true, because when people get organ transplants, they'll like different foods or different hobbies. So they've realized there's cellular memory. The memory can come from one person to another through their cellulose. So why not, when that piece of energy is left behind, why can't a part of us be left in that? And when I think about spirits, it's not like they're really a full, robust, it's like they're in this loop, this endless loop. So if there's a piece of you that's left behind that's so strong, and it would make sense that it would be in that energy that left our body. When you die, you instantly lose 2 ounces. It's called the last breath. If that last breath, we let out that energy. You hear about people say, I know that my mother died last night. I woke up and I felt her spirit. Maybe it was that piece, that electrical piece, and she wanted to let the person she loved the most know. Or maybe someone died a horrible, horrific death, and they're so angry about it that they're staying behind. And part of the spirits here because of that. And then also, maybe you just love something so much, like the man, Frank Goodwin, the man who started the market, who was the first market manager and owned a lot of the property and built a La Salle Hotel right behind us. And he is rumored that his spirit is still here. But what he does is he goes between his old office and his favorite bar, and if people see him, he tries to shake their hand. That's what he used to do. He greeted people. And so it would make sense. His spirit's not wandering around doing all these odd things. The most important things in his life is what's left of this one piece of him that's left behind. And so that is what I tend to believe. Thomas Edison was even asked if spirits could use electricity to communicate with us. And he said, it would make sense if they could subtly influence something, that they would use electricity. And now you hear about lights flickering. So you take the next step, and it's the electrical, piece of us, the energy. No wonder it's electricity they mess with. That's why EMFs work so well. And every place that I've been told there's a spirit that's been seen here, when I come with my ghost tools, they go off there in those locations. And I even had a producer with Ghost Hunters take my tour. And she brought out all this equipment whenever our equipment would go off to make sure there was nothing actually electrical around making it go off. And there never was. So yes, there is something on the other side of the veil using electricity to communicate with us.
Amazing. So, Let's put some numbers on this.
Okay.
So on a scale of 0 to 100, how confident are you that spirits exist?
I would say I am at 100 that there's something out there that I don't understand, that does want to communicate, that's part of our world. Yeah. And I can't say it's a spirit or ghost as we see it, but I've had too many things happen, especially since I've started this tour. Yeah. There's something there.
Some kind of consciousness, would you say?
I would say it's a consciousness. I don't think it's a whole consciousness. I would say it's like a bit of something, Yeah. That's why out spirits, when you hear about them, they're a bit of what the person was. Okay. I really believe it now. And I didn't before I started these tours. I was iffy. Yeah. But I've had a lot of events happen on these tours to me and to my guests that I feel now, I don't know what it is. I can't fully explain it because I'm on this side of the veil. But I do believe that there's something over there.
Okay. So 100%.
Yes.
That's pretty high.
Yes.
What does 100% imply to you in terms of your confidence?
What it implies to me is there's something that we cannot explain that impacts our lives. That sometimes maybe when you feel a chill, maybe it's your grandmother, there, that little essence of her wanting to communicate with you. Yeah. Maybe a house that's, they say, there's a spirit that walks through the walls. But if you look at the old blueprint of the house, you realize that walls and doors were changed and they're just walking down where the original doors were. Yeah. I do believe that some bits of us, of not all of us, but some of us have some bits of us that were so strong that they're still behind. Okay. And they're still impacting us in small ways.
So, getting back to the number, does 100% mean that you could not be wrong?
No, you ask what I believe.
What's your confidence in the belief? Yeah.
I'm totally confident in my belief.
Okay.
But that said, I've been confident about things before, and I'm always willing to be proved wrong. Okay. But, like, for example, with religion, people have said, why don't you have a religious belief? Yeah. And I said, if you gave me 1 ounce of proof that anything in the spiritual world, the religious world is true, any proof at all, I would believe. But I've never been given any proof. Right. But with spirits, there are enough things that have happened, enough repetitive stories that have happened. I take that as it's given me a belief, even though it's not a firm proof. But there's too many coincidences of the same stories being told. Okay. You hear about toddlers saying, when I was alive before. Well, think about it. If you really believed in reincarnation and you had a little piece of you, maybe that little piece of you goes into the womb of an unborn child, the mother's unborn child, and it's just not taking over the baby, but there's just a little bit of memory that's left there. So there's been too many stories that are the same things from different cultures that I just think there's something out there, and I believe that. I don't know what it is, and I can't explain it, but I do 100% believe that there's something out there.
Okay. If you have stories, you talked about some of your personal experiences, and you also said, like, you're willing to be wrong.
I'm always willing to be wrong.
So I'm wondering if 100% on the confidence scale is the right place to be. Like, are you reserving something for the unknown or for being? No,
I can be totally confident and believe something is true, and if I'm proven wrong, I'll say whoops. But right now, I believe I totally believe there's something out there.
Okay. Something you said there was interesting, which she said, you believe it until you're proven wrong.
Right.
Do you generally believe things that you hear until they're proven wrong?
No, not actually. I'm just the opposite. I'm an ex-economist. I'm very much a rational thinker.
Okay.
I've had too many odd things happen on these tours. Yeah. I would say I went into these tours with the idea that maybe there might be something out there, like a 5% belief. Okay. And I've had enough very odd things happen to me that I firmly now believe there's something out there. I don't know what it is. I understand it. But I do believe there's something out there.
Okay. It sounds like the main thing that supports this confidence is your experiences on the tours.
Yes.
Is that true?
That's true.
So
well, but I've always heard stories, of people, children talking about past lives, people knowing when someone died. Things like that go along with my belief. So that gave me my 5% before, but things have happened on the tours have given me the 100%.
You'll like this because you're an economist. If we made a pie chart,
right,
and of the things that make up that support this belief, right? We've got the experiences on the tours. We've got the stories.
Right.
You have some things like Thomas Edison and some other things. You've got like scientists talking about the amount of energy in the universe. Mm-hmm. Like, how would we apportion those in the pie chart? Like, what would be the biggest slice?
I think the biggest slice would be experiences that I've had since I started the tour.
So, hypothetically, if you became convinced that all the experiences that you had were just coincidences, psychological tricks, that sort of thing, would that reduce your confidence down from 100%?
If I became convinced of that, yes. But so far, I've had no reason to.
Sure.
And I've had enough things happen that it's hard to backtrack some of them.
Yeah, the purpose of that question is just to understand, is that really the major thing supporting your belief? And it sounds like it is.
It is.
Because if that went away, then your confidence would come down.
Right.
So the next thing I would ask then is it possible for some or all of those things to be things other than spirits? And I understand you're talking about a large number of experiences over a grand period of time.
You're calling them spirits. I don't know if they're spirits. Well, I don't know what they are.
What would
it's
be
other thing.
A better word for that? Is there a word we can use just the
unexplained.
Okay.
I believe there are things that we do not understand.
Yeah.
And I believe it's a result of memories or things that from people that were here before.
Yeah. So if those things are residual from people before, can we agree to call them spirits? Just to
you can call them spirits if you want to. I just don't want
just
you
for
to
the purpose of communication. I want us to have something to hang that on.
But which I never would have thought I would say that I would believe in spirits. But I've actually I'll tell you about my biggest experience.
Okay.
There's a place in the market called the Rabbit Box.
Okay.
And that I was helping them out with their drag brunch cooking. I got there at 5:30. I unlocked the door. I locked the door behind me. I'm in the kitchen cooking.
Yeah.
And there's stories about the Hotel York that used to be there that started crumbling because of the train construction, the tunnel construction in 1905. They tore it down. But there were stories about a servant girl who was taken down into what used to be the old horse stable where the Rabbit Box is, that was raped and murdered in there. And when we're in there, we communicate and do dowsing rods, and she does talk to, and weird things happen like candles lighting up and wine glasses going flying. So they know that there's something odd going on. There's poltergeist type activities, and people have felt like it's this girl. So, but that was before I probably at that time was at maybe 25%. So I'm cooking and I hear a noise, and the door's locked, and it's 7:00 in the morning. So I assume it's the owner. I'm like, "Hey, Robin," and nobody answers. So I turned around, and passing by the kitchen door, kind of headed toward Robin's office, I saw the back of a woman walking past the door. She had long dark hair. She had a black dress on with a white apron tied and white tights and black shoes. And I thought it was Robin dressed up, because Robin would dress up. It's just her personality. So Robin, why are you dressed up like the servant? Because I've seen girls in the market dressed like her reenacting the story at Halloween. So I didn't for a second think I was seeing a ghost. So nobody answered. So I go running over to Robin's office. The minute I stepped where I saw what I thought was Robin, I froze and I couldn't move, and all the hairs in my body stood up, and I started just shaking, just like just shaking, and I couldn't move. And then after, it seemed like 5 minutes, but I'm sure it was a very short time, all of a sudden I could move. And I used to run marathons, and you're so exhausted when you finish a marathon, you can barely stand up. That's exactly how I felt. Robin was not in there. The door was locked. I was totally, I'm like, I saw this woman. I could draw every seam in her dress. I saw her clear as day, and I was alone in there. And then the next week I was cooking again, and I kept saying, what did I see? What did I see? And I went to walk over to the walk-in, and when I stepped in that exact same spot, I have a heart defect that's an extra electrical pathway to my heart, and it makes it misfire and do electrical impulses. It started doing it. It's like someone was using electrical impulses to communicate with me. But it didn't stop, and it kept getting worse and worse. And I actually ended up, I won't go into the whole story, but it started exactly where I'd seen her before, the week before. I ended up having to go to the ER, and they could not get my heart to slow down, and they thought I was going to have a stroke. And so they actually gave me an IV and stopped my heart. So they basically had to kill me and restart my heart. And then they did emergency heart surgery, and they fixed it because they said that was really serious. I could have easily had a stroke. But, you know, when we talk about how they use electrical, I don't think she knew. I think that because I tell her story so much and we talk to her, and she just showed me herself. So that was when I went up to 100%. I thought and I thought and I thought, and I'm like, that was not my imagination. I was not tired. I was stone cold sober first thing in the morning. I saw this woman, and I didn't even think it was a ghost. I thought it was Robin. I saw her clear as day. And the fact I had that reaction, and that was before I knew it wasn't Robin, when I froze up and was shaking. And so that, I think, I've had several other things almost that dramatic happen to me, but that was the most dramatic thing. And that's kind of what made me realize there's something out there, and it was trying to let me know that it's here.
What other alternate explanations have you thought of for that occurrence?
I've thought about that a lot, and I can't think of it. It was such and the fact it happened 2 weeks in a row, and the fact that I didn't think, oh, there's a ghost in here, I'm looking for a ghost. I was just cooking, and then I was excited because Robin was dressed up. And so I had no thought that was a ghost when all of this happened to me. And so whether it's a ghost or a spirit, and I don't think it's like all of her. I think there's just a little piece of the anger and the horror and the grief of this woman left behind in that old horse stable. And I do believe pieces of us can be left behind. And I have thought about it a lot and tried to think of another explanation. And I can't think of one.
Okay. But you say it's unknown.
Right, so I can't tell you what it is, but I saw that woman clear as day, and whatever it was I saw made me get locked in place and get the shivers, and the next week kicked off my heart issue, my electrical heart issue, where I had to have it fixed because they were afraid after that, you know, I've had it since I was 6 years old. It's not like an unknown heart defect, but it's just something I've always lived with, but that time it got so bad it almost killed me.
Okay. So you had this powerful experience, clearly, 2 weeks in a row. Is it possible that there's another explanation for that?
Well, there's some possibility. I haven't thought of one if I found one, but I have not. I have thought and thought and thought, and I'm a real rational thinker, and I look everything from every different direction. I saw her so clear. I could draw like I said, I could draw her. She wasn't translucent. It was just, I thought it was a person I knew. That's how clear she was. Like I'm sitting here with you.
Yeah. Is there a way to test to figure out whether what you think is going on is true?
No. How do you test that? I just know what I saw.
I don't know.
I know what I saw, and I don't go around telling everyone this story, obviously.
Yeah, sure.
Obviously, I am now, though.
The whole world is going to hear it. I'm just thinking back to your 100% confidence. Right?
You want me to lose confidence?
I don't necessarily want you to lose confidence. What I'm wondering is, do the reasons that support your confidence really support 100% confidence? So if you have no way to determine whether your belief is mistaken, Like, should you have high confidence in that?
Well, but my belief is there's something out there that we don't understand and that I can't explain. And I saw something that day, and I've had several other things that have happened to me in the market besides that. That's not the only one. So,
but it sounds like you're saying there's, we can't explain it. I like
can't
that.
say
That's
it's
a good.
ghost.
That's a good. I don't
Yeah.
know, right? It's a kind of like an doxastically open and all that. But then you're saying, well, you believe that there's some residual consciousness.
Right. That's what
Right.
I believe. I believe that's a residual consciousness, and that's what I saw that day.
So is that piece of it also at 100%, or is the 100% just, there's something out there that we don't know?
Well, that piece of it is what made me realize that there are unexplained things that I do believe are left behind as pieces of the people that used to be here.
Okay.
So I wouldn't call it a ghost as much, but I do believe that there's a residual piece, not of everyone. I think maybe some people go to if you believe in something really strong, maybe there's a place that they go to because of that, or maybe they just disperse, their energy just disperses in the universe.
Yeah.
I don't know, but I know that it seems to me some people leave pieces of them behind, and it's always someone that's got a very strong reason, the ones that you hear the stories about. And so, but that's not the only thing I've had happen. I've had a couple of things like that happen to me. That was the one I actually saw so on clear as day.
Yeah, it sounds like that's the most powerful one.
That was the most powerful
I think
one.
focusing on that makes sense.
Right.
So what would raise your confidence?
Well, it's already, I'm totally confident, so I don't need to raise it.
Okay. You'd be surprised how many people I talk to who say they're 100% confident in their belief, but there's something that would raise their confidence.
Well, I've even had
You're an
stories.
economist, so you're not going to do that, right?
Right. Well, I've had stories, like I had a tour group around Halloween, and there were about 14 of them, and I'm telling about Frank Goodwin, and that he would walk between his old office to the Alibi Room, which was his favorite bar. And I said, so if you see a little old man with slick back hair and a brown suit, it might be Frank. This group of friends started dying laughing, and one of the girls went pale. I'm like, what is going on? They said, okay, we travel together all the time.
Yeah.
We were here 3 years ago.
Okay.
And we were in the Alibi Room late at night.
Yeah.
And we been drinking. But easier to see ghosts when your resistance is down and your defenses are down, and the bathroom is downstairs. And so one of the girls, the one that went pale, she said, I had to go to the bathroom really bad, so I went rushing down the stairs. Well, Frank Goodwin appears to people that are lost,
Okay.
and he actually he's talked to people before. He's asked them if they're okay, if they're lost, if they need any help. So the joke is that Frank is like the spirit, the guide for lost drunks, basically.
Okay.
So she got down to the landing at the bottom of the stairs, and there's no sign whether you go right or left to go to the bathroom.
Yeah.
And she's standing there going, which way should I go? I need to pee really bad. And suddenly she notices there's this old man standing beside her in a brown suit with slick back hair.
Yeah.
And he says, are you lost? And she was freaked out because she didn't see him until the moment she was trying to figure it out. And she's like, where'd this guy come from?
Yeah.
And she took off and happened to go the right direction. So when she went back upstairs, she told her friends, and they said, we've been sitting here watching the stairs. No one else went down or came back up.
Okay.
And so one of the guys ran down there to look for this old man. He could not find him anywhere. So it was a running joke with their group. Whenever she had too much to drink, they'd say, watch out for the old man in the brown suit.
Nice.
And so they'd never heard of Frank Goodwin before. So 3 years later, they're taking my tour. I'm telling them about Frank haunting the Alibi Room. She saw him. Isn't that crazy?
That is
stories
fantastic.
like that. Yeah.
That's great. Okay. Is there anything you could learn that would reduce your confidence?
I could learn that I'm having a seizure disorder that caused me to hallucinate and see this woman. But what are the odds of that? I had my annual physical a couple of weeks ago, and I came out really super healthy and clean, so I'm good.
Yeah, that's a great question. What are the odds? Right?
Yeah.
Like, who knows? How could you find out?
Well, I would, if I had if I started having hallucinations
Yeah.
and seeing other things, but I haven't.
Yeah, and that doesn't explain like the Frank Goodwin.
Right,
with
that
the-
was
with the
someone
other people
else's
from-
experience. They
Yeah,
joked about
yeah,
this
yeah.
for 3 years. That's why our group just started dying laughing when I described Frank Goodwin.
That's fantastic.
Because that was their running joke.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Just a couple more questions.
All that you need.
Is it important to you that this belief is true?
No, it doesn't affect or impact my life. I'm not someone. Some people have odd things happen to them, and they build a life on it and tell the story.
Yeah.
I only tell this story when I'm doing ghost tours. I don't tell anyone else this. I don't want everybody to think I'm crazy.
Okay.
And so I don't really care if it's true.
Yeah.
Just because I believe something, it's like I believe that this is a backpack that I can put on my back.
Yeah.
But if somebody cut the arms off and I had to carry it like a purse, I wouldn't really care.
Yeah.
So it's that much as a relevant thing.
Cool.
But it's a fun fact that I've had a ghost story happen to me.
It's fantastic. I love
Yeah.
it. I love it. These are all your stories are amazing. And I'll bet you give a great tour.
Oh, thank you.
Cool. Yeah, I think that's the end of my questions. Do you have any questions for me?
No. So, how did you get started doing this?
So there's a community of people around the world who do this sort of thing. It's a process called street epistemology. Let's see. You gave me one already.
Oh, I did if you still had it.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, I do
you
have
take
it.
anytime
Yeah.
you want. I won't charge you. You and your wife can take
thank
my
you.
tour.
Thank you. That would be wonderful. Yeah, and I kind of got into this by, so the story I tell is in 2017 I responded to a flat earther on Twitter, thinking that if I gave him some factual information, it would set him straight. And of course it didn't. And that led me to flat earth debunking videos and conspiracy theory stuff, and then atheist-theist debates.
And then I'm sitting here telling you about seeing a ghost.
Yeah, and then finally to people doing street epistemology. There's a fellow who has introduced most of the world to this style of conversation named Anthony Magnabosco. He's from San Antonio, Texas, and his YouTube channel is very popular. He does a lot of these. He started out mostly focusing on people with their religious beliefs, but then he moved on to doing more general things, and then a whole community formed around that. And so when I saw that, I thought, well, this is interesting for a couple reasons. One is that it's a way of having civil conversations, especially like with people that you disagree with. And I'm not saying, necessarily I disagree with you, but I can have a conversation with someone who I'm on the polar opposite of an issue on, and we can have a civil conversation because I'm not debating.
Right.
We're just kind of exploring their belief formation and whether the reasons that they hold the belief are rational.
And I thought about this over and over again. I saw this woman.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
so, but I can't explain it. I don't know if they're spirits or ghosts. I just think it's a residual little bit that we leave behind.
Yeah. Yeah, and so, so I would say, well, there's a lot of assumptions in there. And it's
Right.
like, how would you go about testing those assumptions to tell that they're true? And you find it fun, and it merges with your business, and you don't necessarily care whether it's true.
Exactly.
So you're not going to go looking for reasons to.
I don't care.
Yeah, which is great. Which is also fine, right?
Right.
And that's great. But the second reason that I do this is what we believe often determines how we behave, including how we act towards other people, and how we behave and how we act towards people affects all of us.
Right.
And so I want to make sure that if people hold some belief that's determining their actions, that they've at least thought about why they believe that and whether it's actually true. Because there's a lot of beliefs that people have that result in suffering of other people, right? And so I would really like to think that I'm kind of helping people think more critically and making the world a better place. So.
Oh, yes. I was raised by a Southern racist, homophobic family, so
Yeah.
I get bad belief systems.
Yeah, I'll bet. Yeah, and then the third thing is this gets me out of my comfort zone and gets me talking to people I wouldn't normally talk to.
Yeah.
So I kind of have license, quote unquote, I have a podcast, kind of gives me license to like walk up to anyone and do this. So I'll come down. I work north of the city and I live south of the city. I usually take the light rail. Today, just by random luck of the draw, I had my car, so that's why I was late, because I was mired in traffic. But yeah, I come down here. I'll try to get 5 interviews down on the waterfront, and then I walk down and catch the light rail, like in the at Stadium Station usually. So I get a walk. I get to talk to some people. I get material that I can have on the podcast.
Have your interviews changed any of your beliefs, basic beliefs that you have?
I want to say yes, and I'm trying to think. It's definitely made me reflect on my beliefs more.
Right.
So the example I usually give is, I came up with a new example. I started a list because people ask me this from time to time, and I feel like I should have some of these in my back pocket. So I did write down, and I'm trying to remember what it was. There was something that I was convinced was true that ended up not being true. Oh, I remember what it was. So I was, I live half the time in Seattle, half the time in Westport, which is out on the Washington coast. And I was walking in the woods in Westport, and in a place I hadn't been before. And then within a day, I got a rash on my lower legs. It was a pretty bad rash. And so I said, there's poison oak in the woods. Because there is poison oak in that area. So I said, there's poison oak in the woods, and I got into it, and that made the most sense to me, and then it gradually went away. So I was convinced that it was poison oak. Last year, I had that happen again, and I happened to have my normal skin check with my dermatologist, and I went in there and I said, I had this, and I was convinced it was poison oak, but it came back, and I haven't been around that place. And she said, oh no, that's an eczema. It's very common on that part of the legs. So that's something where I realized, and I just thought about this recently, that was something I was convinced. I had this story told about it, and I hadn't considered any alternatives. I hadn't gone into the woods to see if I could find the poison oak that I thought I'd wandered into, right? But it turned out not to be true. And so that really has brought home to me that, it's like, people hold all kinds of beliefs, and they're completely convinced in them, and it's very easy. And I want to know when I'm wrong.
And the funny thing about what happened to me, it's fun.
Yeah.
It doesn't harm anyone. It's a fun story when I do have my ghost stories. So, and I don't care whether it's true or not. It's just a fun thing that. Well, it wasn't fun when it happened because I almost died the second time.
Yeah.
But it also. One of my guests said, well, maybe she was trying to save you because it could have happened. That's one thing my cardiologist says, what if you would have been out on a hike 18 miles in the middle of nowhere? You would have died. Yeah. So it did kind of save me. It kept it from happening in a worse place. Yeah. But it's a belief system that I've developed through odd things happening to me that doesn't hurt anyone or doesn't hurt me. Yeah. And
this doesn't change your behavior.
Right. It's a fun, whimsical thing in the middle of a mad, insane world where everything's burning and falling apart. Yeah. And I have a new fun belief that doesn't really impact anything or change my behavior. So why not?
Awesome.
So
cool. Well, thank you.
Oh, you're a
wonderful
lot of fun.
Stories. You're wonderful to talk to. I will see if I can convince my wife to come for a tour sometime.
Okay, that would be great.
I do have your card.
You have my card, and we'll figure it out.
If I've lost it, I assume I can look you up online.
You can. Thoughtful Chef Tours.
Yeah.
And it's just me and my little business, but yeah, I like doing the ghost tours, but it has changed my view. And you'd be shocked how many people have had things happen to them. And I don't know what's behind it, but there's something.
Yeah, I've had things myself.
See?
Yeah, indeed. All right.
All right.
Cool. Thanks for meeting me and having the chat.
Okay, and I don't think the earth is flat or any of that because
I'm glad. This patio is flat, but that's probably as far as it goes.
It's funny because I was a realtor for a long time, and I would have to say, no, it is not.
It's not. I'm sure the market has settled quite a bit since it was built. Yeah.
Well, we're decompressing all the time. We're actually not settling.
Interesting.
The glacier sat here for 9,000 years.
Yeah.
And then they melted slowly. It took them like 4,000 years to melt. but we are still decompressing from the glacier. I had happy hour with the glacier scientist one time, and that's the only reason I know this. And he told me we're decompressing by almost an inch a year. So we're going up, not down.
Okay.
So that's a cool thing.
Awesome. Well, I've learned a lot today.
Oh, well, like I said, it's amazing when you go to happy hour with people, the things you learn.
Indeed.
I like you're doing this, though. I think that's fun.
Yeah, thank you.
So the flat earther didn't convince you the earth was flat, but...
Nobody has convinced me the earth is flat, no.
So do they not believe in airplanes? Do they think those things in the sky are fake? And I'm serious. I've flown to Hong Kong and Italy.
They take testimony from pilots who say things like, like they don't have to correct for the curve of the earth. They can treat it as if it's flat, and they take that and they turn it into...
So why don't the pilots just fly off the end of the earth since it's flat?
Believe me, you don't want to go into this rabbit hole.
Yeah.
There's rationalizations for everything.
The flat earth thing has really puzzled me. It's like, there are airplanes.
Yeah.
I'm sure they don't believe in spaceships being real if they don't.
They generally don't believe in space. They don't believe we've been to the moon. They generally believe that we're inside some kind of dome or terrarium.
Oh, really?
A lot of the time it's linked to Christian religious beliefs.
Oh,
because
yeah, Christians.
They want to believe that they're specially created and the world is about them. Because if you're on a spherical Earth that's hurtling through space, that's zillions and zillions of billions of light years wide, then clearly you're insignificant. So I think that's a large part of the emotional component.
So they don't think the universe is real in the galaxy.
No, they don't know. They don't know what's outside of this. They just know that this was created for them. So there you go.
Interesting.
Yeah, indeed. All right.
Thanks.
Take care. You've been listening to Conversations on the Coast, a series from Washington State featuring civil conversations using street epistemology to explore what people believe and why. Find out more at streetepistemology.com. You can learn how to have these conversations in your own life at navigatingbeliefs.com.